everything begins with awareness, because until we become aware of our thoughts and our emotions and what we believe and the identity we are living from and all other things, we will continue to create the same experiences.
We're always creating regardless of if we're aware of it or not. But when you get to be aware of your life and how you'd like to create it, I think it just gets better.
There was once a woman who dreamed of creating the most beautiful garden. And one day, an elderly woman watched her and she said, "Your job isn't to make the flowers bloom. Your job is simply to care for the garden. The blooming has its own timing." I stopped checking whether it was blooming and I simply kept watering it. And welcome to Limitless, the podcast where we explore expansion and awareness and what it truly means to live a life without limitations. And today we are talking about how to create your future now. And for me, everything begins with awareness, because until we become aware of our thoughts and our emotions and what we believe and the identity we are living from and all other things, we will continue to create the same experiences. And so becoming aware is the very first step. And then the next step is a trust. And why? Because the trust is given when we know how the nature or truth of reality is. And for me, that is that reality is energy. And we can consciously move that energy through giving the meaning to life, for example. We are able to create also an energetical baseline or a blueprint or a state. So from where we can take action, we think, we feel, and then we shape the world. So as we then transform internally, then our external reality follow up. And so the core of the question, how to create your future now, is to become actually conscious of the life. And today's episode, Patricia is again with me, and we are going to deepen this conversation. So I will let the word to her so she can deepen the introduction and come up with her thoughts for today. Welcome.
I love meeting with you every week and everything we get to talk about. What a beautiful introduction. I think you're right. The first step to changing anything about yourself is awareness. If you don't bring awareness to yourself and your life, then what are you in control of creating? And let's be real, we're always creating regardless if we're aware of it or not. But when you get to be aware of your life and how you'd like to create it, I think it just gets better, because then you get more specific. You're like, what can I create now? What excites me? And I think that is the greatest energy of creation, focused. Right?
Yeah, it's true. We really believe, up until recently, we believe that the life is happening to us, but basically it's not the other way around, isn't it?
It is. And I think at first it would make sense that you would think that, because if you're not aware of how life works, if you're not aware of yourself, you just think everything's happening to you. And so now you become a reactor. But then when you become curious and you kind of lean in and you're like, wait, what's happening here? And you start to bring awareness to that, then you start to realize, oh, wait a second, I created everything. Oh man, I'm powerful. And then you start to create more beautiful things, because sometimes you don't know those things and you're reacting. Then you're almost sending all this negative energy out, this energy of victim mentality of, I can't believe this is happening to me. And then you just kind of keep recreating everything over and over. But when you get to step back and look at it, then you can remove that energy and that attention and start putting it in places that matter, right?
Exactly. Earlier, you were saying how basically you remove your attention and energy from the things that you don't like. They kind of disappear in a sense. And then you place the energy on the other side where you wanted to have, and then part grows, and it's so powerful. But you also mentioned something earlier. You were saying it's not right way to say, I ignore that part. Actually seeing it and then releasing it. How do you go about it?
I feel the best way to go about it, because I think I'm always expanding and looking at things in a more improved way. But at this moment, the way that I think about it, which is different than how I used to think about it, is the fact that I would have these thoughts I didn't like, and then I would push them away, be like, get out of here. Like I'd push them away. And then what was happening in me is I just didn't feel good, because what's going on is I see something I don't like. Now I'm giving it all my attention as I'm pushing it away and I don't want it there, right? I'm completely focusing on it, which is going to support and create more of that energy. Now, the way that I understand it is yes, of course, there's going to be things and thoughts and feelings that come up that kind of make you feel a little uncomfortable. But I really believe that there's a lesson, an opportunity, something there for you to learn from it. But it's not about pushing it away. It's about noticing it's there. And I like to give everything about me love because I don't think anything's wrong. Everything's there teaching me something, supporting me in some way. But instead of pushing it away and resisting it, I just kind of let it be. And then what happens, I feel like, is because I'm not giving attention to it, it's lowering itself in vibration. And the fact that it keeps coming up, it's just kind of going away, kind of going to the back. And I'm focusing on what I would like, how I would like to feel, which is becoming higher in vibration and coming more to in my focused awareness.
Absolutely. Well, when we are kind of pushing the things away, but we are still seeing them, we are resisting them, and then we already know that when you resist something, it grows as well. I think it's a healthy way to see it and kind of release it and detach from that and really focus your attention on what you want to grow. And this is really part of the essence, bringing that future vision into life to become aware and conscious. Are you really thinking? And what are you believing? And all of these small things that are part of our identities. Maybe we want to move as well to the level that you were kind of proposing for today, but we already kind of touched both, isn't it, Patricia? The being aware of.
What does it even mean to be aware of yourself? Like, be aware of what? So,
Mm.
to my understanding, we've all heard of three faculties, but I think there's four here where it's not just your mental, but your emotional, your physical, and your spiritual. And so you really get to look at yourself as this fourfold being of these are all of elements. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Right? What is my purpose? What is my belief system? This vessel is carrying you through life, supporting all of these other elements of you. Is it in a good state? Right? So you want to bring awareness to all of these elements to support you to be this amazing human being that you can be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So with the mental, right? That's thoughts, right? What are you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then physical, of course, it's your body. Is it in good hygiene? Is it in good health? And then spirituality, to me, it's like your purpose and your beliefs, right?
Yeah.
What's motivating you? And then which one did I not touch on? Emotional,
Mm-hmm.
your feelings, your energy in motion, right? What's your energy like?
So becoming aware of all of these planes of existence, which are then supposed to be in accordance to the vision that you are creating. So how do you start, or where do you start? Do you first start with creating the vision and trying to understand the person who is in that vision? What kind of traits or characteristics this person has in terms of emotions and thoughts and everything? Do you start on a path of personal growth where you discover a little bit more about yourself and then about your mission, and then you slowly actually build that personality as you learn spirituality and then the laws, and then you eventually arrive to the vision? So what is your way, or how it happens for you? For me, it was more the life crashed, so I started to build a new vision. First was a vision board. Then I learned about spirit in the nature of the reality, and then I started to understand myself better and all of these planes of existence and what do I want and how to hold and so on. How did you go about it? Maybe a different way?
That's a great question. I think most of us have to hit rock bottom to wake up. And that happened to me too. We don't have to, but the thing is, we don't fully understand what's going on. So sometimes it takes something very extreme to make you question everything. And the thing that I realize is life is not linear. Each one of us is unique. So we're going to come in at a different angle and start at a different place. And that's what happened with me. I didn't go through the perfect blueprint of how to be the best version of yourself. I just uncovered things along the way and I trusted that. Listen, I love my life, but I don't love my life, right? Because I love who I am, but I want to be more. Just doesn't feel like the best version. So I love where I am, but I want to be so much better. And just that decision, just that focus led me to uncover all these pieces of myself that I was like, oh, I could change that. Oh, I could fix that over there. But just like you, it was something had to really hit me hard that led me into a depression that was the perfect sequence of events for me to wake up to this reality of what's happening, right? So there's so many different angles you can come in with this work, but you start to just look at yourself. And whatever angle that is, that's the start of you uncovering who you are, what you are, why you're here. And that leads you on the journey, which I guess they call the hero's journey. It leads you on a journey of exploring that for yourself. And if you keep, and you mentioned earlier about trust, trust is so big because if you don't trust that you're being guided, or you don't trust yourself to give yourself a shot of taking the time and understanding and then applying these things, then you can only get so far, right?
Absolutely. I would ask you one more question because I love your story and I would love to know a little bit more about your story. So, when you realized that you hit your rock bottom, did you then really looked more into your personality traits, if this is the right word, and how do you want to look at life, or how do you want to feel about life, or how do you want to feel about yourself, or did you start to put a vision board? I want to be the woman who is of this company, or I want to have this car, or I want to have, I don't know, some material things. I actually started really this way because I was lost, completely lost. I just could see with my eyes and with my senses that what I'm touching, feeling, seeing, it doesn't work for me. It's actually really not something I would love to see and how my life should look like. And sometimes I mention word beauty because I really think it is the search of the beauty and the love. And then you will feel that it's not that. Then I didn't know what do I have to do. I really didn't know anything about spirituality. And then I really put the vision board. So like, oh, I think it would make sense to have ability to travel whenever I want, wherever I want. And then I just place some nice images about different material things. But all spirituality came completely later. And then I discovered that I have actually all of these elements of myself and how can I work on them. So I really feel that you were more into it, called to look into yourself and what is it inside of you. Did I get it right?
Oh, like that was beautiful. I never created a vision board in my life, but see how we all like do things that suit us, right? And so some
It's
people
true.
feel like a vision board's gonna provide me that visual aspect of who she is and where I want to go and what I want to see. And that's beautiful. For me, I never created one because who knows? Who knows why I never did it? But I will be honest with you. I think ever since I was young, I have been on a journey of this work, but I was in a different conscious level. And I had created such an egotistical self that I didn't realize that that was running in the background. So I've been obsessed with spirituality and life itself for as long as I can remember. When I got older, I started reading more and studying more, obsessed. But then something happened in my life which really faced me to question how I'd been operating for, like, at that point, probably up till 10 years. And so when something gets removed from you so quickly, or something just jolts you in your mind so quickly, for me, it led me into a depression because I had thought so many elements. You're like, man, what was I doing for 10 years? Who was I being? And this thing that I thought was going to work out is not going to work out. What it did was it all this weight was just settled in. And that's what I believe depression is. It's just an opportunity to kind of settle you down so you can like pay attention to all of your thoughts. I was mindful, but I wasn't clearly that mindful if I was operating from a place of ego and judgment, and I wasn't being a whole person. I was fractured in all these ways. I wanted to be honest, but I wasn't honest. I would talk about telling the truth, but I would lie on certain things. And so I was so fractured. So when I was faced with something, it was like I had to see all of those elements, right? So you feel the shame and the guilt, and you're like, I wasted my time. And all of those things came up. And that was almost like an ego death. I think people call it an ego death. That was my time of I had to face what was who I really was, and then go through an ego death to really go on the journey of like, well, what is the ego? Who do I want to be? What are these parts of me? I just trusted myself. And the more I made the decision to just keep going, the better I've become, the more expansive I become. And you just get to know what life really is and more of who you are. And you just keep stepping into that every time, right?
It's so true. It's really true.
And you know what I was thinking too? At first, when I kind of went into this deep depression, I wasn't asking myself, who do I want to be? What is this new woman like? I had to
Mm,
clear out all this old stuff. I had to face it
mm.
and then clear out all this old stuff. And then as that, all of those elements kind of eased away and I started to feel better and I started to come to a more stable place, that's when I really started to ask myself questions like, well, who's this woman that I want to be? Like, what is she like when she's honest and authentic and present,
Mhm.
full of love? And so that led me on a journey of like, who's this woman like?
What I was realizing actually is that we were wrongly attached to things. We have identified us with the things. And that's why when something is being removed from your life, these questions of who you are actually. And then when you dive in deeper into spirituality, you realize that you don't have to be attached to material things because you are everything and you can have everything and anything that you want. But then the crisis and all these big questions came just because we didn't know that and we were attached. So our identity was attached to the material things. But then after you learn all of these things, then it's becomes so much more light. You're not anymore attached and you can kind of rest in the knowing that you are the creator of it all. So it completely moves you in another mindset. So if next time anything happens, you basically discovered who you are, you discovered your powers, so you know that nothing really can phase you so much. But not that only it's going to be always easy, light, and joyful, but you understand the reality, how it works, who you are, that there are polarities, that there are dips and highs, but it just gets more fun and more easy to be on that space. And I love that. And all what you mentioned, like discovering of who you are and who you actually want to be and how do you want to feel about yourself. I think this is really so important to become aware of that. And how do you feel about yourself? How do you feel at your life?
To talk about the attachment, I definitely was attached at that time. And so I think there were so many elements that I learned from that experience, that the way that I look at everything now is everything, truthfully, we're creating it all. You could say whatever you want, but I created that scenario for some reason. But at the time when it happened, I was like, why is this happening to me? And I had all of these elements that weren't serving me. And like you said, attachment was one of them. And I just know now that I created it for the reason that I came here to be a powerful being. How can you be a powerful being without these experiences, without knowing your complete self? How do you know if you're attached if you don't have a situation to show you you're attached, right? You can't see yourself. So I know now that I created it and it taught me so much. And one of those things that I am applying now, like you said, is it's a skill. It's a whole other level to just be okay with everything that's happening. It's not to ignore it. It's just being cool because you realize you're the power. It's not the thing that's the power. You created that thing for some reason. Maybe you don't know at the moment, but you created it for some reason, some lessons, some opportunities, something to gain for yourself. And if you can remove yourself from the full emotions of blame or anything, then you start to see that there's something there for you and you can learn from it. And then also realize, man, the power, Jelena, we've been talking about this, the power that you feel when nothing can move you. You get to decide. And even if something does make you feel some type of way, you can just notice it's there and still be like, okay, powerful.
So when we think about the topic living a future now, how do you bring this into your practice or who you are being now? Like, what are you doing? How are you maintaining the trust? What does it make you know that everything is working out, that everything is perfect, that everything is just right on time, that there is no reason for you or anybody to leave that, let's call it timeline, and go out and think, where is it? Why is it? So, because we were mentioning this many times recently, I believe, and people really do have difficulties to trust the process. So I think they're falling away somewhere from the whole essence, when they're asking like, where is it and why is still not working? What is your opinion on that? So why things are sometimes maybe not working as we are expecting, and what gives you so much trust to say, I know that everything is perfectly unfolding, like my only role is to be myself, to be the version I created? How do you go about it mentally or practically throughout the day?
That's such a good question. You just have to keep showing up. You just keep showing up, and then you build that trust with yourself, and then you start to see that everything is working out for you, because even that thought in itself is you creating and supporting your reality. Because you could create something and then you could be like, well, it's not going to happen. Okay, it's not going to happen. So for me, it didn't happen automatically. Like I had to just keep showing up. And then I was like proving it to myself and showing myself. And I kept learning and applying. And I started to realize, oh, wait a second, even that itself is me supporting my creation with how I want to see it. So then I kept applying that and saying, okay, everything is working out for me. And then it proved itself. And I was like, I get this. Get this. So before that, I was not just showing up, but I was using a bunch of techniques, right? And we can talk about the techniques that served you, but you can use these techniques to support you so you can realize it for yourself. The thing is, you can say it all day, but if you really don't know, right? There's a difference of like knowing, like you read it in a page, and then like knowing. And so to me, the more powerful place to be is like, you know, because you went through the fire and you get it. So I think that the best thing you can do is just prove it to yourself. Prove it. Don't just take my word, like prove it for yourself that it works like this and then see. But a couple of the tools that helped me, or at least one tool that helped me, is journaling, right? I think everyone likes journaling. What about for you?
Absolutely. I love journaling. I never have written so much as in the last 2 years with a pen and paper. And I love this because of many aspects. One of them is like, how do I evolve? What kind of thoughts did I have over these 2 years, for example? Second thing is that you can see that some things really happened. It gives you really big space to grow, and also to bring the past and the future and now on, like today. And to me, it helps even to do some daily tasks, because I somewhere understood that anything you write down is such a strong command to your consciousness. Consciousness is so receptive to what you're writing. Just execute even the smallest things on a daily basis. It can be as simple as go to buy some groceries. It can be really anything, but journaling has so many aspects. I hoped I could like name some of them, but it helped me tremendously. And also even to love myself more, since I could see how much did I evolve and what kind of thoughts do I have now compared to earlier. And where did I start, my dear? When I was on my rock bottom, I couldn't even write a sentence. But when I see how the story evolved, it's amazing.
And even my own journey with journaling. See, the thing is, we do these things to learn more about ourselves. The thing is, like, the word that comes to mind is what we said earlier about awareness. It's like all you're really doing is bringing awareness to every part of yourself and to everything that you're coming in contact with. Because the way I journal now is not the way I journaled before. The way I journaled before was more like robotic, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to write down what I want for my life. And like, I'm just going to write all these mantras. Now I don't even need to journal. So sometimes a tool is going to serve you, and then it's just you're not going to feel it at the moment. But before, when I would journal, it was like, I have to do this. I'm just going to do this. And then it kind of gradually turned into, well, I'm just going to like use it to remove the thoughts from my mind. And the way I would look at it is I'm cleansing my mind by writing it down on the paper. And then, like you said before, there's so many aspects of journaling. Then there was times where I would list the things I'd like to accomplish and who I'd like to be, which I still do. But for me, journaling was a tool for me to cleanse myself and remove what's in my mind. But now when I journal, it's like this beautiful story of just love, right? Because now I can cleanse myself in other ways from my thoughts. So the beauty of it is like you start to have a relationship with all of these things in life, and then you start to use them differently in support of where you are at the moment, you know? And that's the fun of
Yeah,
it. Like,
absolutely.
you know, like you don't know what it's like at first. You're doing it and it feels awkward. And then you go on this journey with that thing, and then it evolves into something really beautiful that serves you in where you are, right?
Absolutely. It's so lovely how you said it, and just reminds me how really we develop and how deep you can go with this when you start. So when you start, you are obviously, as you were saying, somewhere at the surface level, and you're picking up some ideas and trying and testing it out. And then you go a little bit deeper and you get more aware. And then you also start to remove techniques because you start to do things automatically. So it becomes part of how you
Yeah.
think. And it's completely different way of operating the hardware and software, it's completely changed the lens. You also see how powerful you are to mold reality. You and I, we love to talk about molding the reality, like almost in instant, but in some small things you can really see how it really is happening. And just goes to say that we are so powerful, and it's so important what we are believing and thinking, and can really move things. But it just helps you, all the methods helps you to gain understanding about yourself. Then you remove techniques, and then you become it, and you progress, so it goes further and further.
And it's all a progression, right? It's you getting to know more of you. And so everything is just in support of you to support you. I can say that better. Everything that exists here is providing you the opportunity to see more of yourself. So at first you might be like, I'm going to use this thing to get this thing over here, which we'll talk about it a little bit about how that has its own creations of a result. But a more advanced way that you become after doing these things is you start to see, well, I'm going to do this thing here because it feels really good. And I feel like my soul's calling for me to do it right now, right? So like the journaling thing, it was like I was doing the journaling because someone told me that would help me become this woman I wanted to be, right? Now I already am that woman, and I journal because it feels good to be that woman, not because I have to get this thing over here. So it's like, enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Like you are just uncovering and you are where you are. And sometimes these celebrities and these people with so much success, they get put in front of us all the time. And sometimes you can feel like, well, what am I doing with my life? Look at them, they got it. Each one of those people started from where they were. Each one of those people had to go on their own journey of uncovering who they were. And the more that they trusted, the more awareness they brought. Now we get to see them where they are at the moment. But they all went on a journey. And sometimes we can assume that it's just one big job. That's boring. We didn't come here for that. We came here for the entire unfolding, all of the moments, all of the emotions. There's so many tools you can use. Journaling's one of them. We both love meditation, and you yourself created a beautiful meditation that you shared last week. So I'm sure you'll put that in the link somewhere.
Definitely, it's on my YouTube channel. Many things on my channel I call Limitless, as well as this podcast. And this meditation is really touching to that new version and feeling that new version of yourself. It's not long one, but it's beautiful one. And I'm sure it's just part or a piece in the series of the meditation that we are going to do here, so that we can deepen different areas and support the journey of everybody. So thank you for saying that.
So I'm just thinking to myself, let's recap a little bit about, where we've kind of gone in this conversation so far. And like you said earlier, the first step is awareness. You can't change anything unless you bring awareness to it, right? So bringing awareness to all of the elements of yourself is just the beginning. And then, what you're doing is wherever you are, you're going to look at whatever elements work for you, but it's bringing the awareness to your mental state, your physical state, your emotional state, and your spiritual state. That's the beginning stages, right? And then with that, you can ask yourself questions like, who do I want to be? What feels good? What is this man like? What is this woman like? Right? What do I want to be? What do I want to do? What do I want to have? Right? These are all the beginning of just bringing awareness to this new version of yourself to awaken him or her. Right? And then, like we said before, we can use whatever tool suits you, right? Journaling, meditation. For me, I mentioned this to you before, but for me, what was really powerful for me this year was the method of Ho'oponopono. And I feel like every person I talk to, I'm like, you got to try this because it was just so powerful for me. So it's such a simple method. You don't even have to really know too much. It is just a mantra, but the mantra is so powerful because it does so much for you. But for me, the Ho'oponopono mantra was, for example, so let's say something happens, a thought comes, a situation's happening, and we all have been conditioned to just react, to just freak out, right? So whenever something like that would happen, I would remember the mantra and I would say to myself, I see you, I love you, thank you, please forgive me. Right. And you can create whatever you want. But for me, what that did was it prevented me from reacting. Right. So now I'm removing myself from the habit of reacting. I didn't react and I put myself in a state of power because when you're not reacting and you're just still, and because I said, thank you, I love you, I see you, just saying the words, I love you, it created this feeling of love within me. And the thing is with reacting is sometimes people think it's just what you say. It's the energy you're sending off to that thing. So like, I'm not saying
Emotion.
anything
Mm-hmm.
negative. I'm not thinking anything negative. I'm in stillness. Now I'm in a frequency of love, right? And then I just kept doing that over and over. I felt like I did it after every situation for like 2 months. And that supported me so much because it just, for me, it served me so well. Because, first of all, it was the one thing that helped me shift super fast, but also just the power I gained from it. So I suggest it to anybody to try it.
Well, I really love that. It's in a certain way similar to what we were saying at the beginning. Like, what do you do with the parts that you don't want to have anymore? And so you actually are giving them love and seeing them, and you're completely changing your emotional when thinking about things. So it's a very powerful way to deal with that, or just release it, or let it be while you're moving to somewhere else. So I love how you put all kind of steps, let's call them steps together, that then one more time, how do you bring your future now here? I mean, your future basically exists, isn't it? Like it's already created and we are seeing it unfolding. So, but how do you live that future version? I know it's inevitable and I'm trusting and acting upon my intuition. Is this already in the future?
It's what are your thoughts? It's all of what you're doing now to support that reality, right? And there's a couple ways you can approach this, but I'm always looking to go deeper. So some people will be like, okay, I'm going to work on my thoughts. I'm going to focus on what I say. And it almost becomes very rigid, which is okay, because I think at first you almost think you got to tackle it like it's some thing you got to do, and that's okay. But the thing is, you're always refining what am I thinking? Because the thing is, your thoughts are supporting whatever reality you assume is going to happen or is happening now. So you want to be mindful of your thoughts because that is creating your reality over and over. And then how you feel, right? Which feelings are you supporting over and over and over? Again, it's not about pushing away the ones that you maybe feel everything serves you, but I don't need to be happy. I don't need to be sad right now, right? There's moments I'm going to be sad and I'm not going to push the sadness away. I'll cry, I'll feel a little sad, but I don't need to be in sadness. Why? Because I'm not thinking that something's not going to happen for me, right? So it's like a thought and a feeling of supporting each other. So it's like if I have thoughts of course this is happening for me, of course this is going to happen, and then you're supporting that with feelings, and then naturally you're going to go take action toward these things because you're like, ooh, that's exciting. Ooh, I love this feeling. Ooh, let me go do this thing, right? So they're all supporting you to create your reality. But the one thing I learned this year that I'm like, okay, like this is even more powerful. A lot of people will talk in one day when it happens. Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's going to occur. And I take it one step further and I'm like, it's happening. It's here. Like it's me. It's mine. Because just in that self, it's so subtle. You're creating separation, right, Jay? You're creating separation and you're saying, I don't have this thing now. That thing's over there. It's not mine now. And if you're able to just be like, it's mine, it's here, it's now, that's a different kind of reality you're creating.
Or the speed is you're collapsing the time. So I mean you're still able to reach that reality, but the collapsing of the time happens when you bridge that gap and bring it to now. And this is what sounds easy and it sounds simple, but it's not easy to internalize it, to understand it. But once you get it and when you show up, I think it's showing up is so important. Then you start actually really to feel the future and to feel yourself more and more every day. And then you are able to show up more and more. It's holding.
And we forget that we're creating it all. So it's like, wait, if I'm creating it all, then like me not supporting the fact that it's coming is creating the reality that it's not coming. And then people are like, well, why is it not coming? And it's like, because you're the creator. And if you say you doubt it and it's not coming, you're pushing it away. And it's like,
Yeah.
once you really understand that, there's such a subtle, it's so subtle, but what it really is, it's like, how intimate are you with life, with yourself? The more intimate you become with yourself, the more you're paying attention to the small things. And to me, they're not even small. They're like the biggest things. So when you get to the root of like, wait, why am I doubting? If I'm the creator of it all, me doubting, right? So it's like, okay, it requires my support and my agreement. Anything happening to me or to you, Jelena, you created that. I created that. So to go back to what we said before about not reacting to what's happening to you, you put that there for some reason. So now you're going to react to it and get mad at it. It's like, just get curious because you put it there for some reason to elevate you somehow or to teach you some lesson. So this is how I know now because I get it. I get it, but then there's an element of trusting. It's like you have to keep surrendering and trusting so that you can see the clarity, that you can kind of know what's going on. But it's because you say it to be so, right? Like you say it to be so. It's unfolding. Of course it's unfolding. How else is it going to happen to you if it's not unfolding? You think it's just going to happen like that? Like it's already unfolded. So it's like, wait, so I'm not going to support the unfolding of it. I'm just going to wait till I see it and then I'm going to be like, oh, it's here. Like I want to enjoy the journey. But you know what this makes me think of now that we're talking about it is this beautiful poem that you mentioned earlier that I would love to hear again.
Yeah. Yes, I'm going to read that story. It's the best way to close this topic for today. There was once a woman who dreamed of creating the most beautiful garden. And so every morning she watered the soil, she pulled the weeds, and she cared for every seed that she has planted. But then every evening she searched for flowers. Like, where are the flowers? They were not there. And this is what a doubt does when we do it. So, and one day, an elderly woman watched her and she said, "Oh, my dear, you have misunderstood your role. Your job isn't to make the flowers bloom. Your job is simply to care for the garden. The blooming has its own timing." And years passed and her garden became really extraordinary. And then people would ask, "How did you create something so beautiful?" And then she would smile and answer, "I stopped checking whether it was blooming and I simply kept watering it." It's just like that. How can you support it? How can you support your creation?
And how are you supporting it? Because it's happening now. The support requires you to be in the now to support it. And I really love that you shared that poem because it just really, like in a story form, just shows us that you don't have to do all of these things you think you have to do. All you have to do is nourish it, support it with these beautiful words and this reality of like, it's mine, I am it, it's here. That's all it needs, you know? But of course, you know, you're going to go on a journey at first and you're going to understand these things a little bit more than how you knew it before. And that's okay. That's the part of the beautiful unfolding. But then you get to a place where you're like, okay, I get it. How can I go further? Being it now. Not that it's going to be in some future time. It's happening now.
Perfect. Okay, then I think we're closing for today. We hope we have sparked something inside of everybody who is listening, and keep exploring yourself. We are on the same journey. We are supporting each other, and we will see you in the next episode of the Limitless.
So good. Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.